February numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics show inflation rose 0.4% month to month and 3.2% over the year.
Joining us are still on inflation watch, and the number that we got this morning showed that prices increased by 3.2% between February of this year and February of last year. So on a year-over-year basis, that's a faster pace of inflation that we had seen in the January to January period, where it was about 3.1%. So we're going to continue to watch it. Now, in terms of the contributors to the inflation, if we break it down to food, energy, and shelter, these are monthly figures that you're looking at. January to February, prices for food, interestingly, went sideways, didn't increase or decrease during the month. Energy prices, though, did increase. Gasoline prices, people have been feeling that at the pump over the last month. And then shelter, this is the biggest cost for most Americans, just putting a roof over your head, mortgages and rent, that increasing by 0.4%. That's a slower pace than the 0.6%. So worth noting there again, because that's such a big expenditure for most households.
Christine.
Hello, family. Welcome back to another episode of Journey to Harmony. I'm your host, Richard Harmon. Today, I want to come and talk to you guys about the recent inflation report that has just been concluded. So again, we've all watched over the last 4 years as the nation printed close to $10 trillion in COVID relief money. We've seen during that time period as the cost of everyday things from housing, which was $250,000 at that time, has risen all the way to $400,000 at this particular time for a median price home. The cost of eggs was sky high last year. I believe it was at $4 or so for a dozen eggs. Gas prices went from, in the mid twos all the way up to all close to $4 at one point. And here we are once again seeing the rise again of inflation, even if it's just a slight tick. And many people are wondering when exactly this will get down to a regular number. The Fed has stated that they wanted to have their inflation number at around 2%. And then with the currently being at 3.2%, so some way to go. The big issue that we're having right now is that the cost and the ability to produce things. A lot of times, in order for things to become cheaper, you need an abundance of things. And right now, we're having a serious issue with the higher rates in the economy. With the higher rates in the economy, it strains the cost of borrowing, which restricts the ability for companies to expand. So it's a double negative right now, needing more quantities, but having less ability to produce those quantities, while also importing a larger group of people who will also consume those particular quantities. This is still something that's in the works, and we'll see exactly how this plays out with all of the current people who've crossed into the country over the last few years. I believe it's currently about 8 million. Go ahead and play a video. We'll watch a little bit of this, come back and talk about it. Your first time joining, please hit that like button, consider subscribing to the channel, and here we go.
What's your reaction here, and is this in line with what we thought? What do we think about our economy?
It's a little hotter than we would have liked to have seen. We saw January was 3.1%. This is 3.2%. That means inflation ticked up. And so what it tells us is this last mile of inflation fighting is proving to be a little bumpy, more difficult. And what does it mean for your grocery bill? Your grocery bill is up 25% since the beginning of 2020. So this is why people are so concerned about affordability. We've got the key inflation rate here is off that terrible 9.1% of the middle of 2020. 3% is a lot better. 3.2% here in the month is a lot better. But that improvement, rapid improvement from last year, seems to be slowing here. So it's got big implications for the Fed.
Brian, you gave us food, energy, shelter, any other categories you're looking at there?
Yeah, well, let's break down the prices themselves for many things that people buy on a daily basis. So if we look at things like eggs, gasoline, milk, and bread, here are the prices that we saw compared to a year ago. And we saw that eggs, $3 a dozen. It was not nearly the extravaganza that we had last year when egg prices really spiked across the board, likely due to bird flu. Milk prices also decreased compared to last year. It was over $4. It's now just under $4, $3.94 for a gallon of whole milk. Bread prices, though, however, did go up. It's about $2.01 according to the report this morning. But gasoline, this is the big expenditure for a lot of people, especially ahead of spring break. We did see prices go up on a monthly basis, but compared to this time last year, it's about $3.50, $2.49. So that's cheaper than the $3.62 that we had last year. So across the board, some of these staples are getting cheaper. But again, to Christine's point, it's been going sideways as the last few months. And again, when you compare prices overall compared to about 3 or 4 years ago, those price levels are still up.
All right, perfect. So there it is. We see once again. And the question we have to ask ourselves is whether or not we can really expect to see really deflation. So what the Fed has explained many times is not exactly deflation. What they've basically said is that they're looking to have the inflation rate go from being 3%, which is really fast, to just in line at 2%. Most people were hoping for a reduction, which would be a negative number, but that's not the case of what's happening right now. And so many things are happening coming up. The commercial loan crisis is getting ready to pop off here just a moment. Real estate values have fallen dramatically, and there is a need for all of these particular properties to be refinanced in 2024. Many people are going to lose out on a lot of money. Banks are going to be closing many situations. Additionally, from there's a number of job losses and things have happened in terms of the economy. There's so much that's happening right now. And additionally, you add to that a continuing influx of people at 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 people per month. That is going to continue to put a strain on the cost of housing, the cost of food, the cost of everyday essentials that we're using. And then on top of that, these people are not allowed to particularly work at this particular moment. So there's going to be a continued drag on the economy. Many people are hoping for the reduction in housing costs for a crash in pricing of homes. We have not seen that and is yet to be materialized in the most part. As we're moving forward, wondering how this is going to play out. We're watching the Biden administration and see exactly what they're doing. And Biden has just announced a plan to roll out about $500 per family in terms of buying a first-time home, which is going to, again, accelerate the cost of housing most likely and to cause a continued strain on already reduced supply. I think we're currently at we're a third less in terms of supply than we were in 2019. And there isn't a particular option showing of how many of this is going to come back to the market. We'll see exactly how this plays out. Jerome Powell has a decision to make, him and the Fed, of whether or not they will cut interest rates. And we'll see whether or not that happens. Many people are not expecting it as a result of the continued rise in inflation, but many others are hoping. The stock market is continuing to hit all-time highs, but what 2024 and the rest of the year has, we'll wait and see. What are your thoughts on the situation? Do you think that housing is going to crash? Do you think that inflation is going to reduce? Comment below, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good day.